Hi, and welcome back to 1851's Franchise Development Website Awards Series. My name is Ben Warren, and I'm so excited to be joined today by one of our judges for the awards, Kay Ainsley, Managing Director of MSA Worldwide. Kay, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Well, let's jump right into the questions. First of all, while judging the sites this year, any trends sticking out to you?
Um, Nothing that we haven't really seen before. There are things such as the chat now feature that I think are good. And again, we've seen that in past years. The idea of using movement, whether it's video or a lot of the sites that perhaps were showing statistics, how quickly they've grown the number of units, how quickly they've grown their sales, do so with motion and it ticks up to the end number. And I think that creates some interest and catches your eye, so you're following that. And then the use of testimonials, I think, is more pronounced this time than in previous years. I will say overall, comparing these websites to websites maybe even 3 or 5 years ago, overall the bar is lifted. Everything is much more professional. It's much easier to navigate and to get the interest that you want to get.
Yeah, I've noticed the same thing, and I think the other judges have pointed that out as well. So you mentioned motion, a sort of variety of content forms. Are there any other
Mhm.
particularly good traits you notice that you think designers should be embracing, or conversely, are there bad traits that you notice that you think designers should be avoiding when making these sites?
I like the chat now feature because if somebody is interested, maybe they've been to one of your units and they're excited, and if you can capture that information right then you've got a much better chance of engaging them and establishing that relationship. And we all know that franchise sales are largely based on relationships. So I would say that is certainly something I would consider adding. And I do understand from clients that use it that you can turn it off. You
Right.
don't have to be there 24/7. So if you've got a meeting going on or you want to go to sleep at night, you can turn that off. But when you're available, why not talk to people?
Are there any other examples of unique or unusual content forms that you notice that you think would be more valuable for other brands to adopt?
I think that giving people the steps that that they have to go through, the hurdles they have to overcome to become a franchisee is important because it sets a certain level of expectation, and it kind of gives them a process to follow so they know approximately how long it's going to take, what kind of information they need to provide, and where they have the opportunity to meet the franchisor or to ask questions. So I think that is something I would say should be included in websites. Providing the financial information, what does it cost to get in this franchise is important. Not necessarily breaking it down in detail because your competitors can see that, but giving people the overall investment level helps people to self-select out, and the franchise salespeople are not going to be talking to a lot of people that are not qualified to go further in the process. So I think that kind of maybe speeds up the whole sales process for them. As far as things that I would say don't do, if you're going to use statistics, keep them current.
Right.
Okay, there was a website that said, in 2019 we opened X number of units, and our goal for 2020 is Y number of units. Well, that's great, except this is November of 2021. So I think things like that need to be updated.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned, a number of the things you've mentioned have pertained to, vital information that prospective franchisees are looking for and different ways of sort of allowing them to access that information. But in general, what type of stories about the brands should brand development websites be telling?
I think that varies by concept and by where your position is in the marketplace. Newer brands need to tell maybe a more extensive story than an established brand does. several of the websites told the stories of their franchisees, which I think can be very effective, because that next prospect can relate to someone who used to be a teacher or used to be a fireman or a policeman and is now looking to change course. And it's almost, if they can do it, so can I.
Did you notice that any of the websites are still sort of focused on COVID messaging? And do you think that's still a valuable strategy today?
There were several websites that talked about how nimble they were and how they adapted to COVID. And I think from that standpoint, it's still a good strategy. I would start phasing it out, but it demonstrates to me that the franchisor was doing everything they could to help their franchise system survive some really troubling times.
Right.
But I think a lot of people, myself included, have kind of moved past. We're over COVID. So like I said, I think while it demonstrates the franchisor's conviction to moving the system forward and ability to be flexible, it's time to move on.
Well, Kay, very valuable insights as always. Those are all the questions I have for you today. So thank you so much for joining us and for all your work on the awards. And I can't wait to check in with you again soon.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. And it was very interesting to see there are some really good websites out there.
Absolutely. Okay, well, thanks again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.